Hello, John. I believe today you're going to give us your version of the Credo.
Yes, I started this question of singing hymns in Latin, and I have to beg the forgiveness of anyone that might view this video, that my singing voice is not perfect, but I do my best. The Credo is I believe in God, the Father Almighty, in Latin. And before Vatican II, Latin was the universal language of the Church, and in this country Latin was the Mass, the way it was celebrated, and also the hymns were in Gregorian chant and Latin, and the Credo was one of them. People were able to take part in the Mass because they had missals, so it wouldn't be something that we would know nothing about. And of course, altar boys like myself had to have this off by heart, which we were able to do. Young people can pick up all sorts of things very quickly, and don't know, I presume they could do it to this day because they can use computers and iPhones and all the rest of it before they can hardly talk. Right, so here goes.
Okay.
Credo in unum Deum, Patrem omnipotens tem, factorem caeli et terrae, visibilium omnium et invisibilium, et in unum Dominum, Iesum Christum, Filiam Dei unigenitum, et ex Patre natum ante omnia saecula, Deum de Deo, lumen de lumine, Deum verum, de Deo vero, genitum non factum, consubstantialem Patri, per quem omnia facta sunt, qui propter nos homines et propter nostrum salutem descendit de caelis, et incarnatus est Spiritus Sancto ex Maria Virgine, et homo factus est, crucifixus etiam pro nobis sub Pontio Pilato, passus et sepulchros ei, et resurrexit tertia die, secundum scripturas, et ascendit in caelum, sedet ad dextrum Patris, et iterum ventris et cum gloria, ludicare vivos et mortuos, cuius regni non erit finis, et in spiritum sanctum Dominum et vivicantum, qui ex Patre Filio possedit, que cum Patri et Filio simuladoretur, et cum glorificatur, qui locutus ei performitatas, et unum sanctum catholicam, et apostolicam ecclesiam, confiteor unum baptisma in remissionem peccatorum, et expecto resurrectium mortuorum, et vitam venturi seculi. Amen.
Excellent.
Thank you very much for that encouragement. There'll be more coming down the road.
Coming down the tracks. Very good. Yes.
So we all, when we were young, including the congregation, sang that hymn with gusto. It's hard to imagine now with younger people and maybe people that have never experienced Latin Mass and the Gregorian chant and the hymns. They were very uplifting, so that when you went to Mass, funny enough, it lasted about an hour, but it didn't seem that long because you were taking part in the hymns and all the rest of it.
Is there any church you know at the moment where they actually sing the Gregorian chants or the hymns?
There is, and it has been praised. The only church, a Catholic church in Dublin, is in Harrington Street, which is near the South Circular Road, just up from a place known as Kelly's Corner. It's quite convenient to the city and quite convenient near enough the bottom of Rat Mines. So that church celebrates the Mass in the Latin Rite every Sunday, and I have a feeling weekdays as well. Also in Navan at 1 o'clock in the Catholic Church in Johnstown, there's a Latin Mass in which there are hymns sung.
When you say 1 o'clock, you mean 1 o'clock every day, or
1 o'clock only on a Sunday?
On a Sunday, okay.
And it's a lovely church, and the Mass is celebrated in Latin, and there are hymns also. The congregation take part in the singing of the hymns. Of course, the sermon is given in Latin, and by the way, the priest ascends the pulpit, which is the place where he gives the sermon from. He gives it in English, and he addresses the congregation as "my dear brethren," as they did in the past. So that's a very nice place, and there are other parts in the country in which, in Limerick, for example, and I think in Cork and various other parts where Mass is celebrated in Latin by the Latin Mass Society. Priests that still celebrate Mass in Latin. It's a minority, but they do have support by a lot of people that would have been brought up in that tradition.
Okay.
Now, I'll mention that I read an article in the Irish Catholic last week, which would have been the 26th of August 2016. It was written by a Polish university researcher who was over in Ireland to see how the Polish people are getting on with the practice of the Catholic religion, because Poland is a renowned Catholic country, and they had similar persecutions for their faith as Ireland. They would have had a different way of keeping the faith alive, but nonetheless they did experience the same thing. One of the things that the Polish Catholics, they take part in hymns. Hymns and the celebration of Mass is some ways a bit traditional, the way that they have practiced it. Now, this lady attended Polish Masses, which were the same as what are in Poland, and are people are involved and become come away feeling very good. Their emotions and their well-being is well catered for, according to the researcher. A very interesting article. And so it has been suggested recently that the Polish people should perhaps integrate in and go to the Masses that we go to ourselves, that's celebrated now in the vernacular, in other words in English, or Irish if we're in the Gaelic. Now, the thing is, she said she went to some of these Masses and to experience them, but she didn't come away feeling uplifted as she does from the Polish Masses with the involvement of the congregation. She felt it was very impersonal.
In the Irish Church?
In the Irish Catholic Church, is the way Mass is celebrated. There is not any choirs, generally speaking, singing. I've had that experience myself. And there isn't the partaking of the congregation in the way it used to be when it was in Latin, and the way the Polish lady indicated that that's the way it was with her. So, and she seemed to be a very good article. Now, she did go to the Latin Mass in Kevin Street, or rather, not Kevin Street, in Harrington Street, the South Central Road in Dublin, and she found it very uplifting with the Gregorian chant. So it was something like the Polish way the Polish Mass is celebrated. So you see, I have experienced Mass in France, I've experienced Mass in Spain, I've experienced Mass in Rome, and I must say there were wonderful experiences because there was a lot of singing. In Rome there was a lot of singing in the Latin rite. The Gregorian chant, and likewise in Spain there was also Latin sung there at their masses, even though Spanish was what was spoken about, was what the priest gave the sermon about. And likewise in France, the congregation, there's a lady up on the kind of a podium, and the congregation takes part very much in the Holy Mass. So this is something that I think the Irish Church would want to sort of introduce, because people do want to be uplifted. And I must say myself, at times I practice Mass, and sometimes during the week, but certainly on a Sunday. And of course that's very important. I won't deny that, but it could be a little bit more. You could be a bit more involved than you might.
A bit more joyous, maybe.
A bit more, correct. A bit more. That's the word, joyous. And there isn't that, I'm afraid.
No, okay. Thank you very much, John.
Thank you.